quick to let people know what happens at the University of Washington, about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that go into animal research every year.
On Wednesday.
They're really good posters. Smile.
If I was still in the hospital, it'd be like, hey, you're in, you're out. It was probably also satisfying. Like, okay, you're out. You gotta love it.
Rachel, I hear you're with NARN.
I am with NARN, the Northwest Animal Rights Network.
Great. Well, it's good to see you here in Seattle, Washington at the UW in front of the Research Center.
Yes, we're close to it.
This is Animal Liberation, or Primate Liberation Week. And how many days more is there? Is this the last day of the liberation?
I think tomorrow's the last day.
Okay. So what are your thoughts and feelings on this, if you can put something here together?
Well, I mean, you know, I obviously don't really agree with animal research in general. It's kind of bad science, really, aside from how the animals are treated. You're trying to test various drugs or treatments on animals that oftentimes can't even get the conditions, such as monkeys cannot get AIDS, yet we're doing research on AIDS. So to me, that seems like a huge waste of tax dollars and the monkeys' lives and time. And I mean, I could just go on and on about the number of kinds of diseases that they test on animals, and then you can't really extrapolate that to people.
Does some of this research have to do with tobacco? That's what Brian was saying.
They do that at the University of California. Actually, I don't think they do tobacco research here. But there's been numerous studies to show that humans actually are the only ones that get addicted to nicotine. So, I mean, really, it just seems like a huge waste of time to be doing it. And besides, we already know that tobacco's bad for you. Why are you spending more money on that? Exactly, it is. And, you know, I mean, a lot of it's repetitive stuff. They've been doing a particular experiment at the University of Washington where they screw coils into the eyes of monkeys, and then they strap them into the chair and have them watch a video instead of their eye movement. And they stick electrodes in their head. So they're trying to see, well, like, what areas of their brain light up when their eyes move in particular directions. But they've been doing it for 30 years. I mean, you know, 30 years sticking coils in the eyes of monkeys with electrodes out. It's beyond me what they hope to learn by that. And not aside from that cruelty aspect of it, this particular research has been cited a number of times for doing unauthorized surgeries, doing things that he was told not to, and yet nothing happens to this guy. So even if people aren't concerned about the way the monkeys are treated, they ought to be concerned about the way the research is conducted. It's not conducted in a very. They were cited by the ALAC, which is like the Animal Accreditation. I unfortunately can't remember what it stands for, but it's a private group that goes out and accreditates labs, so they're able to get funding. Because oftentimes the NIH or any government organization will not give funding unless they're accredited by ALAC. And they came into the UW and gave them this huge list of citations and told them they were in danger of losing their accreditation, which is really bad. They were saying that they weren't cleaning out the cages of mice. They were saying that they had infected monkeys right next to where techs ate their lunch. So you've got a primate infected with something. It's infectious disease because it's without the infectious.
Could jump to the human population.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's terrible. What happens if one of those techs gets this disease, goes out in the general public, and thus infects everybody else? That's terrible. Anybody that works in a lab can tell you that's a terrible way to conduct your research. They don't dispose of the bodies properly either. You know, I mean, there's just so many things.
A lot of cross-contamination can occur.
There is cross-contamination. I mean, the whole lab in Belltown is made up of infectious disease research. But a lot of that is on sexually transmitted diseases, it's on AIDS, which again, I mentioned monkeys can't even get. It's upsetting that we are spending all this time and money and monkey lives on research that really you're not going to get anything meaningful out of. And people say, well, what else are you going to do? But that's not really a valid excuse. Why would you keep running your head into a wall saying, oh, I don't know what else to do to get rid of my headache? It's just that science is supposed to be about finding better ways of doing things. Innovation. If we had that attitude, if we didn't know what else to do, we'd still be riding horses around instead of driving cars. And I guess some people may agree it would be better to ride horses, I suppose, but...
You know, it's almost what Eisenhower said about the industrial military complex. He also included the scientific community back then, too. That was a part of that speech.
We're supposed to be finding better ways of doing things. Not just saying, well, we've done it this way for years and years and years, so let's keep doing it. I mean, we're constantly finding better ways of doing things. We ought to put more money into finding alternatives to this kind of thing. Each one of these monkeys costs several $1,000s. And then you have to take care of it. There's the people you pay to take care of the monkey. There's all the equipment you use to take care of the monkey. So it's huge amounts of revenue sunk into the animals themselves. And then on top of it, you know, it's just this huge money pit. And then the University of Washington is asking for more money then they keep raising tuition every year, and they want more money to build their stadium. And meanwhile, they're spending millions of dollars torturing monkeys.
Do you know the names of any of the researchers, just out of curiosity?
There's Albert Fuchs, and he's the one that does the eye coil. There's another one called Eberhard Fetz, and he actually did a study that they mentioned in the news this week, where he'll temporarily paralyze monkeys, and I don't really know how temporary that is, but he's trying to basically re-stimulate the limbs, and he's been working on this.
This includes chimps too, right? Not just macaques?
Well, there's all kinds of monkeys. Monkeys includes like macaques.
Okay, right.
Macaques is the main one they use.
I didn't mean to get you off track.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But macaques, they have a few baboons. Okay. They have probably, I don't know, 10 to 20 baboons, and the rest are macaques. But he's been doing this, he's been putting electrodes into their head, and then he hooks them up to a computer, and then he hooks that up to their wrist. In 30 years, and he's been able to have them twitch their wrist. So, and they're strapped into a chair too, and they're deprived of food because they want to give them food as reward for performing the task. And those monkeys, in a lot of those studies where they're doing intensive surgeries on them or sticking electrodes in their head, they're housed individually because they don't want another monkey to come along and tear out the electrodes that are stuck in their head. So they're very social animals, but they're being isolated because they're worried about what will happen to all the equipment they stuck onto them. And the unit claims that they take good care of them, but how can you're stuck by yourself in a cage all day long, except when you get strapped into a chair and get some applesauce. We say that we do research on them because they're like us, and then we say, but it's okay because they're only monkeys.